Hey guys, hey Rue Horse. Today we're going to be looking at life on Mars. Alright.
Strange photos taken on Mars by NASA devices? Oh no, what are we gonna see here? Hold on. Woman on Mars.
That's a black woman. Alright. That woman that is life on Mars right there. That is a woman. That is a sister that lives on Mars.
Mars? What?
Yep. There's a mouse. There's a mouse on Mars.
Mouse? Nah, that has to just be like rock.
Yup, there's the Anunnaki statues. I told you about this. We're gonna get into this. That's a Sumerian statue. Jake, get out of here. Jake, get out. That's a Sumerian statue. Get down. That's a Sumerian statue.
Statue of God, that's a little bit of a stretch. A spoon?
Oh. Alright, we're gonna look.
God, that's a little bit of a stretch. A spoon? Statue of God, that's a little bit of a stretch. That has to just be like rocks.
Yep, that is not rocks. That's not rocks. That is the statue of the Sumerian god built on Mars.
Statue of God, that's a...
There we go, you have utensils. They use utensils just like us.
A little bit of a stretch. A spoon? Yo, has there been life on Mars? A mysterious light? What? A pyramid?
Yep, a pyramid.
Subscribe for part 2. What?
They tried to silence him.
And here's what's really interesting.
They even threatened him.
It was always a risk, and I always talked about it.
But this Wednesday, 8 p.m.,
What does a Martian look like? Hollywood depicts little green men. Years of Mars exploration have produced some scenic pictures, but no signs of life. Or are there? The internet has exposed the truth. Pictures of Martian rats, iguanas, floating rocks, mysterious woman, and yes, even an Imperial Star Destroyer from Star Wars.
Where do you think they got the idea from?
To the streets of London. And this is the latest that the internet's buzzing about. What is Imperial Star Destroyer from Star Wars? We took the pictures to the streets of London. And this is the latest that the internet's buzzing about. What do you see?
That's got to be a spaceship, isn't it?
I think
Pictures to the streets of London. And this is the latest that the internet's buzzing about. What do you see?
Get out!
That's got to be a spaceship, isn't it?
I think it's a crab. A crab?
Oh, that one.
Get
That
out!
looks like a chick, doesn't it? It looks like a lady, right?
That looks like a frog.
A lizard.
Gecko.
No, it looks like a proper pyramid. Yeah. It's probably of natural origin.
We put these pictures to their source, NASA's Curiosity rover.
Got to be a spaceship, isn't it?
I think it's a crab. A crab?
Oh, that one. That looks like a
Star Destroyer from Star Wars. We took the pictures to the streets of London. And this is the latest that the internet's buzzing about. What do you see?
That's got to be a spaceship, isn't it?
I think it's a crab. A crab?
People of London are woke. They know.
That looks like a chick, doesn't it? It looks like a lady, right?
That looks like a frog.
A lizard.
Gecko.
No, it looks like a proper pyramid.
Yeah.
It's probably of natural origin.
We put these pictures to their source, NASA's Curiosity rover team.
There's no group that would be more happy to see such a thing than the 500 scientists around the world who work on this Curiosity rover. But so far, we haven't seen anything that is so obvious that it would be, similar to what these claims are.
But what about that mysterious woman?
She'd be a few inches tall and hasn't moved in a few months, so we don't really think that's what it is.
Or what
she's meditating.
About the rats and iguanas?
We have no evidence of Martian iguanas or rats at this point.
Every picture is just eroded rocks and shadows, tricking the brain, says NASA. Are you guys just holding back on us? Have you found it and you're just like 10 years is a good time frame to let it sink in before the world knows? Are you holding out?
Yeah,
London.
Architecture and interior design? Find a 3D designer today. Fiverr. Start now.
Eve to me is basically freedom. It's a giant open universe where you can do what
15 photos of Mars that scared astronomers.
Yep.
Scientists have found all sorts of scary and unusual objects on Mars, including human faces, cannonballs, and even a jelly donut. Let's take a look at some of the weirdest images from Mars that changed everything we know about it. Number 15, Face on Mars. This one's a classic image that's also driven all sorts of intriguing theories about how this head showed up on the surface of the red planet. NASA's Viking 1 orbiter zipped near Mars in 1976 and took this now iconic image of the surface. What got everyone excited is the face-like formation in the upper center of the picture. Many people imagine it as having two eyes, a nose, and some weird hair. Some even claim that it resembles a young Elvis Presley, with a few people claiming that it even was an alien-built monument on Mars.
It is.
After some research, NASA decided to further explore the infamous Mars face, with the Mars Global Surveyor taking a fresh image of the face and showing a much blobbier, less stark formation. In short, it's just a mesa and not an alien-carved religious site.
It really is one. That's not natural. That had a lot of effort put in.
Number 14, Morse code on Mars. A view snapped from Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter snapped in February 2016 showed some strange formations on the surface of the red planet. The dark raised areas are a series of dunes that look a lot like the dots and dashes of Morse code. All the same, it's striking and almost eerily deliberate looking, the kind of thing that really does appear to have been created by an intelligent hand. Unfortunately, the code spells out gibberish.
Hey, stay out.
Planetary scientist Veronica Bray analyzed the dune image and told Gizmodo the code word reads out to Number 13, the Mars thigh bone. Another picture that quickly sparked curiosity among the astronomer community was the NASA Curiosity rover, finding
That's a war remnant.
what resembled a thigh bone on the red planet. In the photo description, NASA officials wrote that while this Mars rock may look like a femur thigh bone, it is not the fossilized remains of a mysterious Martian. Number 12, Martian blueberries. Trying to sort out the origins of these blueberries has always involved studying similar-looking spherical formations here on Earth. New research takes its inspiration from these terrestrial analogs to offer a new idea of the chemistry that may have gone into whipping up these Martian blueberries. As aesthetic as the Martian blueberries look, they are nothing even remotely related to plants. The bluish balls are hematite-rich spherules spotted by the NASA Mars Opportunity rover in 2004 near the Fram crater. Number 11, Martian tadpole.
The next big thing spotted on Mars was the
so-called Martian tadpole, a formation spotted by NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, which could also be considered a yo-yo or a sperm. It's actually a circular crater with a tail that was carved out by water movement. You can infer that water there is flowing outward because they have the necessary terrain height information. While it's widely accepted that the planet had a long-distant watery past, it doesn't currently host any amphibian life as far as we know. Number 10, Martian fish. There is a fish-shaped rock on Mars, which for some reason shook the entire astronomy world despite there not being any actual fish on Mars, much less given the fact that there's no surface sea there. The rock shape and the lighting at the time of the photo combine to create the fishy look. NASA has something to say about the possibility of fossilized bones and animals on Mars. Mars likely never had enough oxygen in its atmosphere and elsewhere to support more complex organisms. Thus, large fossils are not likely. Number 9, Martian dust devil. A mesmerizing dust jet appears far back in a scenic Mars landscape photo taken by NASA's Opportunity rover in 2016. However, this is nothing more than a dust devil, just like the ones we have on Earth. A dust devil is a strong, well-formed and relatively short-lived whirlwind, ranging from small to large. The primary vertical motion is upward. Dust devils are usually harmless, but can, on rare occasions, grow large enough to pose a threat to both people and property. Towering dust devils are weather hazards on Mars, and they're something future human visitors will need to be prepared to handle. Number 8, waffle-shaped island on Mars. Next up, we have a waffle-shaped island on Mars, spotted by the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter from late 2014. The 1.2-mile-wide feature is located in an area of lava flows. It's not evidence of waffle irons on Mars, but it might be the result of lava pushing the formation up from below. Of all the things that astronomers could find on the red planet, dragon scales is high up there in the unexpected list. Resembling a dragon scale from Game of Thrones, most fantasy and science fiction fans will find themselves quite disappointed upon finding out that the scaly pattern from Mars doesn't come from a mythical creature, but rather through ancient landscape processes involving erosion. The nature of the water responsible for the alteration and how it interacted with the rock to form the clay remains poorly understood.
Mars is a dragon, Jupiter's a dragon, Mercury's a dragon.
Number 7, Martian spoon.
Number 7, Martian spoon. A suspended spoon is probably one of the least interesting things you'll find on Martian surface. Yet still, a long-handled spoon stretching out over the landscape was spotted by the NASA Curiosity rover. Fred K., a sharp-eyed contributor to the unmanned spaceflight forums, noticed the funny shape in a raw image taken by Curiosity during Mars Sol 1089, which translates to August 30th for us. It looks like a long-handled spoon delicately stretching out over the landscape, hovering above its own shadow. Number 6, Mars Bright Light. NASA's Curiosity rover sent back a curious photo in 2014 showing a blip of light on the horizon of Mars. The image excited UFO fans, who speculated about the light source, wondering if it might be evidence of alien activity. NASA scientist Doug Ellison rained on the extraterrestrial parade, with the explanation that the blip was likely caused by a cosmic ray hit, the result of high-energy particles flying through space. Number 5. Mars Curiosity rover's missing plastic piece. Next up, we have a piece of the Mars Curiosity rover, which has been at the center of many unusual object sightings on the planet. A famous incident occurred in 2012, when the rover noticed a shiny object on the ground that didn't match its surroundings. Speculation ranged from jokes about cufflinks to it even being an AOL CD. However, the explanation was a bit disappointing on NASA's end, with them claiming it to be a small plastic piece of the rover. Number 4. Marsalanche. Another intriguing and rather aesthetic picture instead of scary is the famous Marsalanche, which owes its name due to being an avalanche that happened on a steep Mars cliff. A cloud of particles puffs upward at a steep cliff in this 2010 image from NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter. According to NASA, this sort of event happens mainly during the planet's springtime, which roughly corresponds to April and early May on Earth. Those ice blocks took a swan dive down a 1,640-foot or 500-meter cliff face and triggered a huge dust cloud in the process in May. That cloud is on full display in the image released back then, which had astronomers completely shook. Number 3. Martian Cannonball. In December 2017, a well-known blog for UFO enthusiasts posted a close-up look of a spherical object spotted by NASA's Curiosity rover and suggested it was a cannonball left over from a war on the Red Planet. NASA's rover team responded with a Twitter message pointing out how the concretion is less than a quarter inch and is actually made up of minerals, not exactly cannonball material, and much less the leftover of a war on Mars. It's actually made up of calcium sulfate, sodium, and magnesium.
It's still a cannon.
Number 2. Jelly donuts. Yes, even jelly donuts have been spotted on Martian pictures in the past. A jelly donut-shaped object appeared rather suddenly in a set of before and after images from NASA's Opportunity rover on Mars. Some people believed it to be an alien fungus, but NASA was having none of that nonsense. Apparently the rock resulted because a rover dislodged it after driving over it. If there's one thing we can be sure of, is that NASA still hasn't found any snacks on Martian soil. Number 1. Labyrinth of the Night. Another intriguing image spotted by NASA's Reconnaissance Orbiter was the bizarre-looking formation spotted in a region known as the Labyrinth of
Stupid computer.
the Night, or the Noctis Labyrinthus, composed of clusters of sand dunes, boulders, and sedimentary deposits on the surface of the Red Planet that were each exhumed as they eroded, creating a mystifying yet still intriguing layered mesa on its surface. If these images of Mars didn't scare you speechless, then you might want to check out our other videos too.
I think I finally found the perfect routine for my acne, so let's do my skincare and talk about it. Just when I genuinely thought that I was never going to have clear skin.
Come and change your life forever. Let me show you how to do exactly this in the next 90 seconds.
Now he's making instruments to look at the civilization. On Mars. Well, when he sees what's on Mars, he won't see no mark of his. It's our Mars, our people, so God have taught me, and that he didn't know they was there until just a few days ago. He used to look at Mars and just call it a star, and that's all. But our fathers made it with some type of intelligent beings, like ourselves. They walk on 2 feet or hands. They are not animals. They are intelligent people. The marks that we see on Mars is not from an ignorant, silly, uncivilized person. They show signs of civilization. And they look something similar to us.
We forward again. All right, here we go. All right, we forward again. Field trip to Mars. We hope you students got your field trip slip signs and the waiver. Make sure you got the waiver sign this time because there's some freaky stuff going on Mars. And if you do not follow instructions, you will be headed down the wrong road, brothers and sisters, to the point of no return. So, once you get your field trip slips turned in, we're going to head over the ball. But we want to give you like an introduction to what's going on Mars so you can get an understanding on when we go into talking about different things that you got an understanding on what's going down. Mars, also known as Lamu, right? Also called by the natives Barsoom, right? Spelled B-A-R-S-O-O-M, right? Mars, which means war, a god of war, right? Named that by the Greek, but we call it Lamu, right? Where we set up our laboratories on millions of years ago. But Mars is the fourth planet in the solar system, which is 141.6 million miles from the sun. Mars, at its closest point, right, to Earth, 33.9 million miles away. So we'll be making our jump at this time when Mars is at its closest point to us. At its farthest point, it's over 250 million miles away. So it'll cost us a little more time trying to make the jump at that time. We will be making a jump at this time when the planet is 33.9 million miles away, so it'll be a quicker time. This will take my ship 2 minutes and 9 seconds to make this jump. But we're gonna add an extra 4 minutes because of things about Mars, right? Mars has the circumference of 13,263 miles, and the diameter of Mars is 4,212 miles, right? In diameter, right? So Earth is about 7,000 and some change, when Mars is 4,212 miles in diameter, about 3,000 miles smaller than Earth. Mars is tilted, right, on its axis 25 degrees, right, to the right. 1 day on Mars is 24 hours, 36 minutes in Earth time. 1 1/4 of Earth days. 1 day on Mars is 1 1/4 Earth day. The natives call this 1 day a pardan. 1 year on Mars is 1.88 Earth years long, meaning it's almost 2 years long. So 1 year on Mars is almost 2 Earth years long, which translates out to 686 days. This is how long it takes for Mars to travel around the sun one time. So it takes Mars 686 days to travel around the sun one time. The natives call this year a R, right, which break down into 10 months. Remember we told you on Venus they had 13 months, but on Mars they have 10 months. Each month the natives call a 10, right, which is 68 days long, right? The natives break down the pardan, which is a day, into 10 zodes. A zode is a reference to an hour. Each zode is 50 zacks, which is minute, and each zack is 200 tiles, and tiles a second. So I hope I ain't lose nobody there, right? There's a rewind it back and listen to it again, okay? And a zack is 2 minutes, 53 seconds long, right? A tile, okay? And a zack in tiles a second is minute. And each zack is 200 tiles, okay? It's 886 seconds long. And 53 seconds long, right? A tile is 886 seconds long. And the zones are individually numbered. The first zone begins today at dawn. Mars has 2 moons, Phobos and Deimos. One is 3,700 miles from Mars, and the other one is 14,580 miles from Mars. These moons really are hollowed out and been turned into warship. We'll get into that later. On Mars, right? Because once you get an overstanding on this, right? There's still water on Mars. All the water that was on Mars from the beginning is still on Mars because it can't leave the atmosphere. So 60% of the water on Mars is in a frozen ice capsule in the northern hemisphere. The atmosphere of Mars is comprised mostly of carbon dioxide, which means you're gonna have to keep your helmet on when you get outside of Mars. Yo, like we say, most of Mars is made up of carbon dioxide, but your planet, your atmosphere is made up of mostly nitrogen, of 70% nitrogen and only 21% oxygen, which is now starting to change because of the pollution from the carbon dioxide coming out of the cars, right? The carbon monoxide, and then from them cutting down the trees. When you cut down the trees, you gotta understand the trees convert carbon dioxide into oxygen, right? So if you study putting more cars on the road and cutting down the trees, what you doing? You put more carbon dioxide in the air and cutting down. See, we put a certain amount of trees here in order to maintain a certain percentage of oxygen. And once you get rid of that oxygen, once you start cutting down these trees, you're messing up the ecosystem, thus decreasing the percentage of oxygen within the air. It'll begin to change the way people look. So like we say, most of your atmosphere is made up to 70% nitrogen and about around 20% oxygen and about 5% argon and a little bit of carbon dioxide in that, which is increasing as we speak. The more people drive these cars around, right? They're trying to get a little better on doing the carbon dioxide thing, but they still polluting the air with these cars. Instead of going all electric cars or going to all hybrid cars, you're running off water. The same technology that was given to them by the Venerian Nicholas Tesla or William Tesla, right? He changed his name a couple times to hide his identity, right? But he gave them a whole bunch of technology as far as moving around with that would save us billions of dollars. But these people, these elite government have kept these things to themselves, and they use these things on other planets like the Mars, right? So your planet has 70% nitrogen. So why ain't you breathing nitrogen? So you go understand the game that they try to play on you when they tell you that Mars has mostly carbon dioxide, right? They say 95%, but it's really like 82% carbon dioxide, right? Which is still a little bit dangerous for you coming out of this. If you coming from Earth going to Mars, right? It'll take you a couple months or weeks using certain equipment to be able to go out and breathe for a couple hours on Mars. But with the radiation on the surface, it'd be dangerous to go out without a suit. See what I'm saying? Due to the walls, like we told you, from what you think or what they taught you, right? The natives are used to the carbon dioxide in the air, and so they can come out and walk around and breathe in it for about 4 hours before they have to go back into their dome or go back to their underground cave.
She was sitting there breathing.
They got the underground cities they got built. Okay, so they got advanced underground. Are vegetarian. Some of the natives have converted to the ways of the guests and hunt for meat. They are born, check this out, they are born like humans on Earth, except they have their children just like Earth people, but the women don't have birth pains. The women don't have birth pains, right? They can live up to 1,200 Earth years. And most of the people on Mars, let me tell you, because most of the people on Mars lay eggs, right? They lay the eggs outside of their body. But these natives, they keep their egg inside of their body for a 12-month period. You know what I'm saying? Because on Mars, it's really 10 months. So it'll be a 12-month period, which is 816 days, really. Right? They hold their kid in their stomach. Other races, it can take up to 5 years for them to have their baby. So some of the people on Mars, right? And we'll get into that, right? They had a baby standing up or squatting down like like they sit on a toilet, right? And that's another thing, because Bible talked about that. These beings had their babies sitting down like they on a toilet. But at the hospital, they lay you on a bed. Spit this baby out while you laying flat. And that's incorrect. You're supposed to squat down like you on a toilet to get the baby out. And have the lights off in the room. You're supposed to bring the baby out where in the dark. You're supposed to introduce them to the light slowly, right? We'll probably drop a class on that. But this how they had their babies on Mars. The original dark skin, olive skin being, right? When the babies are born, they come out greenish looking, and then eventually they go into like an olive dark ebony color. Trying to make sure I go over all my notes that I gotta tell you, right? So I can cover everything, right? They carry the J-17 laser weapons, and they patrol the streets in armored vehicles, some of which are magnetic hovercrafts, right? Which some of the technology was given to them by Ashkar Command, and some of it was given to them by the secret government, which is a combination of the seven heads, right? French, right? The Russians, right? The United States, the British, right? The Chinese, right? And there's two more, but these beings are connected and have set up a space station called Lunar Command Station on the dark side of the moon, and they have now set up a colony on Mars and lied to you right in your face, trying to lie to you and tell you that they're just not trying to send people to Mars, right? Okay, so we're going in. Like I say, these beings have been at war with Ashkar Command for quite some time now, right? They speak a language that's a crossbreed between, it sounds like a crossbreed between Arabic and the Dagon African language of Dugu, with strong tones, with feminine and masculine words. You gotta be careful. You can say the wrong thing, it get you stabbed up on Maha. Queen Badu, her mother didn't take no jump, and she don't take no jump. Which she'll go off with your head right then, you know what I'm saying? In front of everybody, right? Moving forward. There's a beings on Mars called the Yellow Man, which I term the lemon heads, right? The man shave their heads bald. They're like a war clan, right? They have skin the same color as a ripe lemon, right? The man sport black beards, right? When going into the outer snowfield land of the north, because they live in the north, right? The yellow man wear heavy clothes made from Alp and oak fur. We're gonna tell you what oak are in the Alps, right? We're gonna get into that. But within their dome city, they are as naked as any other Martian or any other Lamuyan, right? They live in the freezing north regions of Mars. Their cities are built under glass domes, protecting them from the harsh article environment they live in, right? I refer to them as the lemonhead people. They can get up to 6 to 7 feet tall and weigh up to 250 pounds solid muscle. Their women are muscular as well. They hunt for meat to eat. They are not that intelligent. They came about due to the dark straight hair race mixing with Ashkar Command, right? They follow the orders of Ashkar Command. They still fight with swords and slingshots because the Ashkar Command don't trust them with advanced weapons, okay? So this is the yellowhead people who live in the northern hemisphere. Next we have the red man, right? And the red men are not exactly red, but they're a reddish copper tone skin. They also have straight black hair with no facial hair, right? They also, this red race was drafted out of the dark skinned, straight haired natives, right? They are born from hatching from eggs, right? That are incubated for over 5 Martian years. Upon hatching, the young red Martians are fully developed except for their size. They reach maturity in another 5 Martian years. The red man wear very little clothes, but a lot of ornaments. They live in domes, caves, and underground cities. They can get from 4 to 6 feet tall and can weigh up to 200 pounds, right? The cardants, which are the beings that don't breathe, right? They have no lungs. The cardants are the beings that are head beings. We're gonna get into them beings. The cardants eat the heads of the red man and then dry their bodies like cars, right? There are also clone red races called the Homad, which was drafted out of the red man. It was drafted by this black scientist who broke off from the original tribe and joined on with Ashkar Command because he wanted to be independent. Okay, now it's time to get into the freaky part of this tape. And about to talk about the Cardans, right? Which are a highly intelligent race that inhabit a small area known as Bantoon on Mars, right? Pronounced as Bantoon, right? The natives refer to these beings as guests. They came from the Andromeda's galaxy, which is 2.5 million light years away, right? The Cardans, they appear as oversized blue-gray heads with 6 spider legs that they walk around with, right? When they're not using a rocker. So these Cardans appear as oversized blue-gray heads with 6 spider legs that walk around by themselves without using a rocker. A rocker is a headless red man body. A headless red man body, because I told you they eat the heads off the red man and use his body to drive around like a car, right? They also have 2 symmetric tongues that come out that they use for eating, right? Their large bulging eyes are lidless. Their nose, nothing more than a narrow slit. Their mouth round with sharp teeth. To control the body, they use small tentacles that descend, right, from the bottom of their body when they hook up to climb on top of the head. They use these rockers, right, for manual labor, okay? Do all their manual labor because you gotta understand they nothing but heads, and they don't breathe because they don't got no lung. Like most Martian people, these Cardans have psychic abilities, right? They are able to control rockers, told you was headless red man, right? And other people on Mars with mind control. This power seems to be great in the king of the Cardans, right? They have a king. Every Cardan is born with all of the knowledge and memory of his ancestors, to the point of knowing what different animals taste like, even ones they personally have never encountered, right? Cardans live in different clans, each led by a king. The king Cardans differ from the regular ones. The king Cardans differ from the regular ones. The kings are slightly larger with more of a bluish hue. Every 1,000 of so many eggs, a new king is produced. The king produces 1,000 eggs. Some of these eggs are kept, some of these eggs are destroyed, and some of them are kept to keep the rise of the clan going. And out of every 1,000 eggs, one of them is a king to start over a new clan, right? The new king always uses the same name as the old one, and life in the clan continues as if nothing happened. So these beings, if you go to Mars, come in contact with these beings, they are very aggressive towards humans, and they probably will eat you. You see what I'm saying? How they mind control you, try to mind control you, then eat you. So, shoot on sight when you see these beings. Shoot on sight. If you got that laser on you, it's gonna pop a cap on one of these beings ASAP, because, hey, you going down at lunch if they get their hands on you. It's not gonna be good. One of the third major kingdoms is Stark, right? It is one of the dead cities abandoned during the fall of the ancient civilization of Mars. The native people call the people that live in this area guests, right? These people are tall green creatures, right? With 2 torsos, 4 arms, and 2 legs. The 2 middle arms can be used for arms or legs. They came from Cyrus breed. They are a crossbreed between the walrus beings and humans. They stalk the Dead Sea bottom. They are intelligent and capable of organizing themselves. They don't like humans, right? Those who came in contact with these beings say they are cruel and very brutal, right? These beings are large. These beings are the largest Martian race, right? The males stand up to 15 feet tall, and the females stand up to 12 feet tall. They can weigh up to 500 pounds, muscle. You know what I'm saying? They're extremely fast. They can hear extremely well, right? And they can swim extremely good, right? They have a small antenna-like ears just above their eyes and large tusks coming up out of their mouth. You know what I'm saying? Just like the walrus, right? In the males, these tusks extend upward to the level of their eyes, and the eyes themselves are larger and wide set with snowy white eyeballs and blood red pupils. Each eye is capable of moving independently. How your eyes move together, my eyes can move independent, right? The women differ in fact that and the females stand up to 12 feet tall. They can weigh up to 500 pounds, muscle. You know what I'm saying? They're extremely fast. They can hear extremely well, right? And they can swim extremely good, right? They have a small antenna-like ears just above their eyes and large tusks coming up out of their mouth. You know what I'm saying? Just like the walrus, right? In the males, these tusks extend upward to the level of their eyes, and the eyes themselves are larger and wide.
With that.
That's it. Snowy white
I wonder what they eat.
With snowy white eyeballs and blood red pupils. Each eye is capable of moving independently. How your eyes move together, my eyes can move independently, right? The women differ in fact that their skin is lighter, their tusks extend up to the level of their antennas, and they also have smaller fingernails. They lay eggs about the size of a goose egg, and the young take up to 5 years to hatch, right? The young are a smaller replica of the adult, standing 3 to 4 feet tall in height when they hatch, with yellowish green skin, then it darken as they age. These beings go completely naked, wearing only a harness with jewelry or with ornaments on it showing their rank, right? They have like a rank, right? The women bring forth about 13 eggs. These eggs then meet certain weight, size, and these beings undergo a gravity test, and then they are taken to an underground vault to cool and incubate for the 5-year period. Each year, a council of about 20 chief chairmen examine the eggs. Each year, 100 of them are destroyed, preserving only the perfect eggs for incubation. Once the 5 years of hatching period ends, and any egg that do not hatch on time is destroyed, right? Throats. These 8-legged horses, the huge 8-legged horses that pull these wagons, right? They have pets called Karlok, right? A Karlok is a Martian creature, roughly equivalent to a dog, but typically only amongst the green man. So the green man has domesticated these beings and have them guarding their temples and guarding their, they're like pets, like you have a dog, right? They have this as a pet, this Camelot, right? These creatures can get up to 2 to 3.5 feet tall and weigh up to 300 to 450 pounds. They have 10 short little legs, and they have a frog-like head and a small amount of brished hair, right, all around their body. They are very fast. Matter of fact, they are the fastest creature on Mars, and they are extremely intelligent in the hunting game and guarding property. The Camelots have been domesticated by the green man, right, and they use it for multiple purposes, for guarding animals and stuff that they capture, this and that, you know what I'm saying? The Camelot is also used, like I said, they have feminine and masculine words in the culture, so by calling somebody a Camelot is similar to calling them a dog. It's like an insult. A Camelot is like an insult to call somebody that. But next there's a horse-like creature called a thoat, right? Which is a term referred to several close relative species of an 8-legged horse-like creature native to Mars. A thoat is a long, shriek creature with 8 legs, right? It boils flat tail and a large mouth that splits their head nearly in half. The thoat can range in color from black, brown, gray, a greenish, or bluish in color, shaded into yellow at the feet. Their bellies are white. The thoats survive almost solely on the yellow moss that covers much of the surface of Mars. The stems of the moss contains substance, moisture for the need of the thoats. They can exist for months at a time without water, longer than a camel, right? It's a long time without no water, just like a camel. Go study a camel and how a camel reserve water, and you'll get an idea of how these beings do, but they don't got no hump. But they're extremely huge, and they got another smaller size, right? 2 primary species of thoats. The smaller breed, which is the size of a horse, right? And the larger breed, right, which is the dangerous breed, which can stand up to 10 feet tall, right? So weigh up to 4,200 pounds. The smaller breeds of thoats are divided into many breeds. There are riding breeds and beef breeds, which they eat, right? But to tell you the truth, you really can't tell the difference between the two. So you know what I'm saying? Some weird stuff going on, right? So some of these thoats are rolled by the natives and by some extraterrestrials, such as the Cardans. They eat these harsh-looking beings. Okay? Then we have the kangaroo people, right? The kangaroo man are human from the waist up, but they have powerful legs and long tails. They have brown and black fur all over their lower half. They have a fire flame style hair growth. Their powerful legs allow them to make great leaps and bounds. They can run very fast and hear extremely well. They carry their eggs in their pouch. Once hatched, the young remain within the pouch until they can fend for themselves. They can get up to 7 feet tall and can weigh up to much as 250 pounds. Right? So that's the kangaroo man on Mars. So we're just trying to introduce you to some of these characters, right? We're gonna have a book coming out soon, so you can get a copy of the book and get more details on this information. So you can get details on this owl formation. All right, the next character we we have is the homad, right? Remember I told you about the homad, which was a crossbreed off of the red man. The homads are a very large, nearly indestructible creature. They were created by a native black scientist. Remember the native black scientist I told you about? They grow in mass number. They grow in vast and mass number, right? They can have all of their limbs severed and even their head and still survive. They can regenerate their limbs and even their whole body. Sometimes they will fail to develop their whole body and maybe only develop a foot instead. Almost all homads are deformed in some way. Body parts in wrong places, extra toes and thumbs, and several limbs. The bodies of the homads are recycled in the vast, and homads that fail to develop into functional beings are also recycled, right? The homads are like the Frankenstein, like a Frankenstein style being created by the black scientists. You say, what is the scientist's name? His name is Boraz T. We have another creature called the Lusos, which is a horrible Martian creature somewhat similar to the rat of Earth. It resembles a baby mouse, grown to the size of a dog, right? Their eyes are small and close together, nearly hidden under their skin almost, right? It has jaws that are pure bone, extending beyond the flesh of the face, which gives them an appearance of a rotten face. 5 sharp, like teeth in their jaws. It has 6 legs with sharp claws on each of the legs, right? Sharp claws, which is used to push dirt behind them when they dig, because they dig underground. They dig these holes and live underground, right? These Lusos can be found almost anywhere underground, right? Though they are apparently no Usos to be found in the land of Bantoon, as they were considered a delicacy by the Caldans. Remember the beings I told you that walk around like a spider with the head or whatever? These beings hunted these beings and ate them, right? To almost nearly extinction. But these rat-like creatures came with the Ashtar command and got out their ship. And once they got out their ship, they metamorphosized and turned to something else with 6 legs. Okay, due to the different climates and different environments that they had to survive in, So that's the Martian rat right there. You have the Benthots, right? Which is a large predator that looks somewhat similar like the Earth lion, right? They hunt in the low hills near the long dead sea of Mars. They are longer than the Earth lion, completely hairless, right? Except for the breast mane around their neck. They are supported by 10 legs, and they have powerful jaws, and with several rows of teeth, right? The eyes of the Banta, right? The Banta are protruding and green. The Banta is an object of great fear amongst the people of Mars. In modern times, the Bantu found in the land of Bantu served as a unwitting security system to prevent humans from intruding upon the realm of the Cardans, right? Cardans, the little beings with the head, they use the rockers. Next, we go into a predator called the shits, which is a large insect predator, right? That resembles a spider. They live in the swamp area of Mars, because there's a swamp area of Mars with a moss and water, but there's still rivers and lakes and ponds and smaller oceans that still haven't dried up on Mars. Because we told you 40% of the water is still on Mars, and 60% of it is in the ice caps on the North Pole, right? So these beings right here, these beings here are poisonous spiders, huge poisonous spiders, like the ones that live in the center of the earth, right? That are pets for the Darwins. But these right here are huge poisonous ones, which the red man Martian capture and use a poisonous sac to put it on their weapons, so they can shoot people with them and poison them and kill them. And the poison from these bees right here will kill you in less than 45 seconds once they hit the bloodstream. It's like a straight poison that as soon as it hits your bloodstream, it sends you into shock and pretty much you die, right? So these bees are found on Mars too. So some of these bees, when the first time your secret government landed on Mars, they came in contact with some of these bees, right? These bees gave.
Alright, let's finish this.
These beings gave them their fate, right? Ended some of their career. We give you 2 more creatures, and we give you the rest of them in the book. But you know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of information I can go on. But what we'll do is we'll give you 2 more creatures, and then we're gonna close this thing out because we think we gave you a lot of information tonight here. Let's talk about the white apes. The white apes are a feared race of semi-intelligent gorillas, right? Like monsters who inhabit the
Pictures are real.
of Mars. They are large creatures with an average height of 12 to 15 feet, right? This was told that little rover thing, they drove it up towards their cave, this was smashed on them goddamn gorillas, right? These big ass gorillas. 12 to 15 feet tall. Hey, some of them are known to be small as 8 feet, right? Like the green Martians, the gorillas possess 2 sets of arms, right? You know, they have the legs with 2 sets of arms, right? Just like the tall green man that I told you about, right? But they prefer to walk around on 2 legs. They can use the 2 middle arms to walk around on. They can walk around on 4. These white ape like to walk around on 2 legs. They are almost completely hairless, save for the shock of white hair on the top of their head. The white apes are incredibly violent creatures, and they kill just about anything they come in contact with, and eat it or just kill it. It is said that they are one of the most cause of death amongst the Martian children, but they are sensible amongst their own, and they gather in mating pairs or even in tribes. They are somewhat intelligent, right? Somewhat semi-intelligent. They are known to use weapons such as clubs or even wear the skin of animals such as the banter, which is a long line that I told you about, right? They also seem to be particularly reasonable creatures. The white ape has 2 primary habitats: the dead city of Mars, right, which is a city that was abandoned, and the few remaining fertile areas of the planet, particularly the Toulon Marsh, right, and the Valley d'Or, right, where they showed you the water, right, when Neil Armstrong was taking them pictures at the beginning of the tape. Also, there's a race, Ashar Command, Demi race is there, and there's 3 different tribes of them, right, and they've been there. They are guests, and these are the beings that are running helium now. The city called Helium, which is the main city on the surface, which go underground and above ground. They built them like cradles. See what I'm saying? The whole city, right? We also want to tell you, right, about the Plant Man. The Plant Man are semi-vampires-like race that have blue-skinned creatures who inhabit the Valley of Dor on the planet Mars, right? The adult species can grow at the height of 10 to 12 feet, standing erect, right? The trigger species can grow off on the parent's underside of their shoulder joints, right? Like a plant, like branches or something.
Well, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed this, I didn't know that all about Mars. So if you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.